Hey there, deep divers. Welcome back.
Thanks. Glad to be here.
So today we're diving deep into something, a feeling I think a lot of us can relate to.
Yeah.
It's that whole busy but empty thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like when you're going, checking things off the to-do list, but you still feel like something's missing.
Right.
We actually got an email from a listener, Micky, who's really struggling with this.
Oh, wow.
They're working hard, achieving a lot, but they just feel this lack of fulfillment.
Yeah, I can see that.
Like questioning their achievements, their purpose.
Oh, it's like an existential crisis.
Yeah, a bit of an existential crisis. But,
yeah.
I mean, honestly, who hasn't been there?
Right. We've all had those moments, I think.
But
Definitely something that researchers are starting to explore more deeply.
Really?
Yeah. We actually dug into a bunch of sources for this deep dive.
Cool.
Articles, research papers, even some philosophical theories.
Wow.
All to try to understand this feeling of busy but empty.
So is this like a modern day problem?
That's a good question.
Or have people been feeling this way for centuries?
Well, I think it's definitely amplified in today's culture.
Yeah.
You know what they call busy culture.
Oh, yeah.
There's this constant pressure to be productive, to achieve, to hustle.
Oh, totally. Like if you're not running around like a chicken with its head cut off,
Yeah.
you're not doing enough.
Exactly. It's like busy has become a status symbol almost.
Which is ridiculous.
It is totally ridiculous.
Yeah.
But the thing is, all this striving for busyness can actually be counterproductive.
Really?
Yeah. When we're always focused on doing, we don't give ourselves time to think, to reflect, to connect with what actually matters.
Okay, so we've got this busy culture thing going on.
Right.
What about the empty part?
Mm-hmm.
Like, why do we feel empty even when we're achieving things, checking things off our list, supposedly succeeding?
That's a great question. And one theory that I think helps explain this is Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
Oh, yeah, right?
Yeah.
I vaguely remember that from Psych 101.
It's basically this pyramid that outlines different levels of human needs. At the bottom, you've got the basic survival needs, food, shelter.
Right.
Then you move up to things like safety, belonging, esteem. And finally, at the top, you have self-actualization.
Right, right. So how does this relate to feeling busy but empty?
So the idea is that even when we're meeting those lower level needs,
Like having a stable job, a place to live, financial security.
exactly,
Okay.
we can still feel empty if those higher level needs,
All right.
like self-actualization and esteem,
Gotcha.
aren't being met.
So you're saying like Micky, even though they're working hard, probably achieving a lot externally,
Right.
they might be feeling empty because their work isn't aligned with their deeper sense of purpose.
Yeah, or their values.
Interesting.
It's possible that all that busyness is focused on meeting those lower level needs,
Okay.
while those higher level needs, the ones that actually give us meaning and fulfillment, are being neglected.
So it's like you're climbing the ladder, but maybe it's the wrong ladder.
Here's-
Or maybe you're just so focused on climbing that you don't even know if you want to be on that ladder.
Precisely. And this actually ties into another important aspect, the difference between intrinsic and extrinsic goals.
Oh, right.
Intrinsic goals are those that come from within, things you do because they're personally meaningful and fulfilling.
Okay.
Extrinsic goals, on the other hand, are more about external rewards or recognition.
So like helping others because it feels good versus working towards a promotion just for the title and the bigger paycheck.
Exactly. And what often happens in busy culture is that we get so caught up in chasing those extrinsic goals, the money, the status, the achievements,
Right.
that we lose sight of what truly motivates us.
Intrinsic goals.
Yeah, those intrinsic goals that give us a sense of purpose and fulfillment.
Okay, so we've got busy culture, we've got Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and we've got this distinction between intrinsic and extrinsic goals.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else contributing to this feeling of busy but empty?
Well, there's another concept that I think is really relevant here. It's alienation.
Alienation, like
Yeah.
feeling isolated from everyone.
Well, it can involve that, but it's more about feeling disconnected from the meaning and impact of your work.
Okay.
This actually goes back to Karl Marx's theory of alienation.
Wait, Karl Marx, isn't he like a super intense philosopher?
It is.
What does he have to do with feeling empty?
Well, bear with me because I think his ideas are really relevant here.
Okay.
Think about it. If you're constantly busy with tasks that feel meaningless, that don't resonate with your values,
Yeah.
or where you don't see the bigger picture,
Okay.
it's easy to feel alienated from your work
Uh-huh.
and ultimately from yourself.
Okay, I'm starting to see the connection.
Yeah.
So it's like if you're just a cog in the machine, just going through the motions,
Hooray!
you can end up feeling pretty empty inside,
Exactly.
even if that machine is making a lot of money or producing impressive results.
Exactly. And we see this all the time, right?
Oh, yeah.
People in high-pressure jobs achieving a lot on paper but feeling deeply unfulfilled. Or people stuck in these repetitive jobs that offer no sense of purpose or creativity.
Oh, this is making me think about my own life choices.
It's a good thing to reflect on.
So it's not just about being busy.
Right.
It's about the type of busyness.
Yeah.
The meaning behind it.
Absolutely.
And how it connects to our values and needs.
Exactly. And the problem is that busy culture often glorifies the wrong kind of busyness. The kind that can leave us feeling exhausted and unfulfilled.
Yeah, like what's the point of all that?
Right. So we've talked about why people might be feeling this way.
That busy but empty thing.
Right. But the big question is, what do we do about it?
Yeah, because knowing why you feel a certain way and actually changing how you feel are two very different things.
Absolutely. It's not like a quick fix or anything,
right,
but there are things we can do.
Okay, so where do we begin?
Well, I think the first step is becoming more aware of your own values
Okay.
and your priorities,
Yeah.
what matters to you,
Yeah.
what kind of impact do you want to make.
I mean, those are big questions.
They're big questions.
It's easy to get caught up in the day-to-day and not really think about those things.
Right. It's easy to lose sight of the bigger picture.
Yeah, totally.
But once you have a clearer sense of those things,
Those values and priorities.
right, then you can start making choices that are more aligned with them.
So let's say someone realizes that creativity is super important to them,
Okay.
but their job is like really repetitive and soul-crushing.
Yeah.
What can they do? You can't always just quit your job and follow your passion.
Right. You're right. It's not always that easy.
Yeah.
But even if you can't make a drastic career change,
Okay.
you can still look for ways to bring more of those values into your current work.
So like finding those little pockets of meaning and purpose.
Exactly. Even within a job that might not be your dream job.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I like that.
It's about taking ownership and finding ways to make your work more personally fulfilling.
Could also involve talking to your boss
Yes. Having honest conversations.
about your goals and aspirations.
Exactly. Maybe there's more flexibility than you realize.
Yeah. I think a lot of people just assume they're stuck.
Right.
But sometimes you just have to speak up.
Exactly. Advocate for what you need.
And sometimes finding meaning might mean looking outside of work.
Absolutely. What are some activities or hobbies that bring you joy?
Ooh, this is where I shine.
Okay, I'm excited to hear this.
For me, it's all about exploring new restaurants, trying different wines, traveling to new places.
Sounds fun.
Basically, anything that involves good food, good drinks, and good company. What about you? What fills your cup outside of work?
Well, I find a lot of fulfillment in learning new things, reading, spending time in nature.
Nice.
It's about finding those activities that make you feel alive.
Yeah, and sometimes it's just about giving yourself permission to rest.
Yes, rest is so underrated.
It's not being lazy.
No, it's self-care.
It's about taking care of yourself so you can show up as your best self.
Exactly.
And speaking of rest, I think this ties back to the whole busy culture thing. We've been conditioned to think that being busy is like a badge of honor.
It's almost like a competition.
But it's often at the expense of our well-being.
And our happiness.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So what can we do about that?
I think we need to start questioning those messages.
Okay.
Do we really need to be busy all the time?
Yeah.
What would happen if we slowed down a bit, created some space?
Maybe we'd actually get more done.
Exactly.
Because if you're always burnt out, you're not doing your best work anyway.
Right. And some companies are actually starting to experiment with shorter work weeks.
Really?
Like a 4-day work week.
Whoa, a 4-day work week.
It's becoming a thing.
Imagine all the extra time you'd have
I know, right?
for those passions and hobbies, or just to relax.
Absolutely. It's about creating a better work-life balance.
Okay, I'm definitely feeling more inspired now.
Good.
So to recap, we need to be mindful of busy culture.
Right.
We need to know our values,
Mm-hmm.
and then we need to make choices that align with those values.
Exactly. Big or small choices.
Yeah, this has been so insightful.
Good. Glad to hear it.
I feel like I've learned so much.
I hope so.
I might even consider that 4-day work week myself.
You should. So thinking about Micky's situation makes me wonder, what busy wasn't a badge of honor, but a warning sign?
Wow.
A sign that we might be out of alignment with ourselves and what really matters.
Ooh, that's deep.
It is something to think about.
This whole conversation has got me thinking about time poverty. Have you heard of that?
Absolutely. It's that feeling of always being pressed for time.
Yeah.
Like you're always rushing, always behind.
It's so true. It seems like everyone I know is always complaining about being busy. It's like this competition of who's the most stressed and overworked.
It's like a badge of honor almost.
Yeah.
Which is kind of sad when you think about it.
It is.
And it all ties back to that busy culture we were talking about.
Right.
This constant pressure to be productive.
To maximize every minute.
Yeah. But the irony is,
What's that?
all this focus on efficiency
Doesn't necessarily make us happier.
or more fulfilled.
Right.
Because when you're always focused on doing,
You forget to actually live.
yeah, you miss out on those little moments.
The connections, the joy.
Right.
We end up just going through the motions.
I know. I'm definitely guilty of that.
I think we all are, to some extent.
Like, how many times have I scrolled through my phone while waiting in line?
Right.
Instead of just, like, taking a moment to look around.
Or rush through a meal to get back to work.
Oh, yeah.
Instead of actually enjoying it.
Totally. So how do we break free from that cycle?
Well, I think it starts with becoming more aware of our relationship with time.
Okay.
Like asking ourselves, are we actually using our time in a way that aligns with what matters to us?
And if not, what can we do to change that?
We can start setting boundaries,
Okay.
learning to say no
Yeah.
to things that drain our energy or don't align with our values.
Boundaries are so important.
They really are.
It's so easy to feel like you have to say yes to everything, but sometimes saying no is the most self-loving thing you can do.
Exactly. So, for someone feeling overwhelmed by this whole busy culture thing, what are some practical things they can do to reclaim their time?
I think it starts with being more mindful of how you're spending your time.
Okay.
Maybe try keeping a time journal.
A time journal.
Yeah, just for a week or two to see where your time's actually going.
That's a good idea.
You might be surprised.
I probably would be.
And once you have a better understanding of your time habits,
Okay.
you can start to identify those areas where you can create some space.
So like delegating tasks or cutting back on commitment.
Exactly, or even just scheduling in some time for relaxation.
And maybe putting down the phone every once in a while.
Yes. It's about making conscious choices to prioritize what matters.
Well, this has been an incredibly insightful deep dive.
Glad you think so.
We covered so much.
We did. From busy culture to Maslow's hierarchy of needs to the importance of boundaries and self-care.
It's a lot to think about.
It is. But hopefully it's given our listeners,
Especially Micky.
yes, especially Micky, some food for thought.
And some practical strategies for dealing with that whole busy but empty feeling.
That's what we were going for.
Exactly. And for a less busy, more joyful life,
Yeah.
check out the YouTube channel, Mickeytolife. It's all about travel, trying new drinks, embracing new experiences.
Love it.
Maybe it'll give you some ideas.
Yeah, for finding joy outside of work.
Exactly. So on that note, we'll wrap up this deep dive. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Until next time, remember to be kind to yourselves, prioritize your well-being, and don't be afraid to slow down and savor the simple joys of life.